Hi. So before we start this build, I would really quickly like to mention that this video is very important for the lore reasons of this of System 238. So if you are simply here to learn about this world, or you just want to learn about the lore and don't feel like waiting I'm going to guess 6 or 7 minutes to get to that part of the video, this is the timestamp for it. See you there. This is also a collaboration between me and another channel known as Not Too Bad Tabletop Crafting. Their channel is right here. Basically, for Halloween, we decided that we would each give each other an item that had to be used in the video. I gave him a singular shoe, not a complete pair, and he gave me books. So it's a collaboration. This also is an important video for another reason, which will be discussed later. As per usual with a diorama build, I started by making the base. I decided to use this tube that you see when you get new pots and pans to make the rim. I decided to make a makeshift hot wire table with my hot wire and a shoebox. This was used to cut the foam into a perfect circle, and it looks pretty good if you ask me. Another thing I wanted to discuss in this video is that you don't need a lot of tools to do these dioramas. This diorama used, I think, a hot wire, an X-Acto blade, and a pair of scissors, and a hot glue gun. That's about it. Those are the only tools, and most of the materials are really easy to find and simple to use. You don't need a whole lot to get into this build, for instance, into this hobby, and you definitely don't need a lot to be good at it. A couple weeks ago, I entered myself into the Armies on Parade competition, and I got second place in my category with my second build, which I only had a craft knife and some foam for. Again, you don't need a lot to be good at this. Then had to spend an annoying amount of time placing popsicle sticks to make a wooden floor, and a wooden I actually ran out of popsicle sticks halfway through, and I had to start altering tongue depressors to make it work. This is what we call as free weathering. Because my item was book, I decided to make it in a library. So I made a bookshelf. It looks great, and it's made of cardboard. Using some parts from this Gundam kit, I designed the legs of a spider. Before I can put the legs together, though, I have to make the body. Using some cardboard, I made the shape of the main body, which looks like, I think it's an octagon? No, decagon. It has 10 sides. Once the body was complete, I used the feet of the Gundam kit to make the mandibles of the spider. I did have some trouble snipping off some of the excess pieces, though. It is now time to remind you, always wear safety equipment. Whenever I was snipping off bits for the mandibles, one of the pieces flew at my face and went straight up my nose. I was not injured, luckily, but it very well could have been my eyes. Always wear eye protection. If you are working with stuff that requires it, wear gloves and a respirator as well. Stay safe. Once I had the mandibles done, I decided to stick some bamboo skewers into the leg pieces to give both height and make it look cool. I temporarily glued the bookshelf in place so I could get the position of the legs correct. I used some pieces of chain from a kid's toy to make an attachment point for the legs to the body. Once these were glued together, I attached them. I made the abdomen of the spider using an old to-go box and some very intricate cardboarding. Before I fully sealed the abdomen, I wrapped the inside with tinfoil and made a hole for an LED. Once I closed up the abdomen, I wired some cords to the LED. The symbol you see on the back here will be important later when I explain the lore importance to this build. It was here that I realized how big the spider was compared to the base. I would have made it bigger. I would have made the base bigger so that way I could add more, but I was completely out of both popsicle sticks and tongue depressors, and I was already rushing to get this build done in time. So it's going to be small with a big spider. I also decided to repose this model for a Maze Warhammer free miniature. I intended to put him in the mouth of the spider, but at the last minute, I decided not to add him. This was after I painted him, though, so I used some more bamboo skewers and some 0.8 millimeter gauge copper wire to give the legs more detail, and I think they look pretty good in the end. I think they're my favorite part of this build, the abdomen running a close second. The books were made out of foam. I used an X-Acto blade and a copper wire to give it a more book-like look. We are now on to the last leg of the build, pun intended. Here, I finished decorating the final legs. The problem I have with this build is wiring, which I don't like doing. It can be fun, but it can take a while and can be very frustrating. This one was frustrating, especially during the final assembly. Also, it's just an intricate shape that I have to wire around. Now that all of the basic wiring for now is done, it's on to the painting. Before we get into the lore part of this video, I would like to discuss that this video is being entered into the into the Crafting for Hope competition. It is a competition being held by 4 different diorama artists, and if you would be interested in just participating in the competition, or if you wanted to donate, the link is in the description. All of the donations are going to research for cancer, specifically for children. So if you want to be helpful in that, feel free. And of course, if you want to compete, one of English is difficult. Sorry. One of the judges is Boylai Hobby Time. So if you want a chance for him to see your work, as well as any of the other judges or just other artists on the internet, please feel free to enter the competition. I believe it is free. The links are in the description.
Statement given by a library guard who was at the scene of the incident. Guard was reluctant to talk about the incident for precisely 1 year, 2 months, 7 days, and 5 hours.
It was after hours. Almost everyone except a few with overnight passes had already left. It was just me, couple of guards, when I heard this sound, like a mechanical crunching. Whenever we went to look for the source of the sound, James, one of the other guards on duty, just disappeared. No scream, no sound, just gone. I wish we never found him. When he turned the corner, it was. At first, it just looked like he was floating there. Then we saw it. The jaws around his body, and the legs surrounding us. His leg was. It was on the ground. Blood was everywhere. His body was levitating in midair as if he was just magic. His head was in between these giant mandibles. Dead already. Faster than we could blink. One of the lumber spiders. Somehow, someway, someone had cast an untamed life spell on it. The rune was glowing on its abdomen. It changed colors too. I'm not a mage, but I was always told that a magic was blue. I don't know what went wrong, but I have no idea how I survived.
The incident resulted in the deaths of 128 adults and 7 children below the age of 15. 5 of the adults were overnight guards. The rest were civilians with either overnight passes or were in the way of the loose lumber spider's path.
So if you didn't gather everything there, the magic in these worlds is almost always blue. Whenever it isn't, it means the spell or rune is considered loose or untamed, and that makes it dangerous, especially if it is a life spell. Once the spider was assembled and painted, it was time for the final shots. As per usual, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to go check out Not Too Bad Tabletop Crafting's channel and the Crafting for Hope competition. And please remember to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next installment of S238.